Russell Wilson, we just saw him basically lobbying for the Seahawks to sign Antonio and give him another chance. What were your thoughts on that? / double barrel question / did anything Dr. Johnson just said about the potential signing change your mind? Because yesterday you were pretty adamant that you thought the Seahawks would get that last infinity stone by adding Antonio Brown.
No, he didn't change my mind. I still think Antonio Brown will help this team. And hearing Russell yesterday even further solidified the way I feel about it. Look, I think Dr. Johnson brings up a great point, as he usually does. But I think he brings up a great point about Antonio Brown accepting some of the things that he's done, because he has always been a guy who has not taken responsibility for his actions. Sound familiar? Every time something goes wrong, he's got somebody else to blame, and the guy to blame is the guy in the mirror. So that is something he's got to do. And if he's willing to do that, now that's a big step. And he probably has done that privately already. Otherwise, he wouldn't even be in this conversation. Because I think to be reinstated by Roger Goodell, I think he's going to have to go to the commissioner and say, yeah, I take responsibility for what I've done. But to really have some credibility in that locker room, he's going to have to say, in the locker room and publicly, I did some things wrong and I'm sorry, even if he doesn't mean it. Let's just be realistic. Some people say it don't mean it. But if he does that,
we're talking about the assault
he's
being investigated for, correct? That's what we're talking about?
Right.
We're talking.
And I think we're talking about a lot of things. With Antonio Brown, we could be talking about many things.
Okay, see, I'm talking about from a football and a football culture sense. Let's talk about, though, the sexual assault allegations and the other legal issues that he has going on that might require
several
more league discipline. I can't even keep track, but let's talk about that in particular. I've always struggled over the course of my career, whether it's domestic violence, dog fighting, DUI, you name it, with trying to assign the perfect number for punishment. It always bothered me, actually. Like the common question, for somebody when it came to personal conduct was, did the league get it right? I mean, like, what's right? Like, what's right for a criminal offense? What's right for domestic violence, regardless of how the criminal justice system handled it? What's right for dog? Like, what's right? Like, how can anybody say that, 6 games is what you should get for hitting a woman, or 4 games what you should get for a DUI? It's like, are they coming back? If they're coming back, does it really matter? At the end of the day, if they eventually going to come back because they're good enough, at the end of the day, they get another chance because they're good enough. What's the difference in 6 games and 8 games? Does it undo the crime? It doesn't. Yeah, please, be my guest. Enlighten me.
Can I answer that question for you?
Enlighten me.
It's not necessarily the games. You're right. All right, the game, 6 games, 8 games, 2 games, 4 games. But there's a difference between, say, a Ray Rice, who did what he did, goes through a diversion program. Then when the video came out, the NFL said, oh, wait a minute. This looks bad, even though everything that was in that video was described in a police report. It was in a police report. So it tells you just how limited we are at times. The written word, it's right there. But when we see the video, it changes everything. But that's not my point.
I fully understand that. Okay, go ahead.
But Ray Rice, Ray Rice, what he did, unconscionable, unthinkable. And you can have your feelings about his wife now, but at the time his fiance, taking him back, and her parents being there at that press conference in Baltimore. Her dad sitting there in the front row. Think about it, Mike. I mean, it's just difficult. Your daughters being hit by anybody, but being hit by a man, and you're sitting there in the front row saying, okay, we're family. Oh, that's hard for me to just even think about. But Ray Rice has continually said, I own it. I'm going to do something about it. I want to go. I want to talk to other people about it. His wife has been with him saying, okay, we are fine. We're together. He has accepted it. And you don't have to like it, but he's accepted it. So there is a change in Ray Rice. Now, some people don't believe that you could ever change. Once you hit a woman, they say, that's it. Some people believe you can never change. As opposed to, let's be real. As opposed to Tyreek Hill, who many of you have on your fantasy football teams, who many of you have forgotten about. Tyreek Hill still hasn't taken responsibility for what he did in college. And just because he's a Super Bowl champ, just because you think the Kansas City Chiefs are dope with their offense, doesn't mean that he has accepted responsibility. We have just stopped talking about it. So the difference is accepting it and not.
No, that's not the difference. That wasn't, respectfully, I appreciate your passion. That wasn't what I was getting at. That's not the point. That's not what I'm talking about.
I'm saying, but I didn't say that's what you're getting at.
I'm
saying for me.
No, that's the difference for you. We're not even talking about domestic.
Why you gonna tell me that's not it?
No,
it's my opinion. You ain't got to agree with it.
You're addressing something that I was never going down that rabbit hole. I said respectfully, that wasn't like a no disrespect, but here's disrespect. I said respectfully, I was not going down it. I was not comparing the merits of one domestic violence case to another. That's not the rabbit hole I was going down. I don't want to get off track is what I'm trying to say. What I'm saying is, it's not about somebody's rehabilitation. You and I both know it's about if somebody's good enough, if somebody is good enough, they are worthy of a second chance. It's not about what Ray Rice did. It's about the fact that Ray Rice was a declining running back. That's why he never got another chance.
Mike, we agree.
There are plenty
Mike, we agree.
So that's not what.
Let me just before you. But hold on. We agree on that. What I'm saying, you asked me. You said you've always. This is what you said. You've always struggled with how many games is it? Right? Isn't that what you said?
I'm saying that the conversation around what suspension, how long somebody should be suspended for criminal acts, to me is the wrong conversation, because whether it's 2, 4, 6, 8, whatever factors you want to assign to the decision, whether it's how they owned it, what kind of diversion program they entered, how their significant others handled it, it doesn't undo what they did, and it's not going to make everybody happy. Ray Rice being suspended or anybody being suspended for 4 games versus 6 games doesn't make a difference in terms of what they did. What I'm saying is the second chances. I'm talking about the idea of second chances. Strictly second chances always comes down to second, third, fourth, fifth chances, always comes down to how good somebody is at football. Because Antonio Brown could say and do all the right things right now. He could say and do all the right things right now, and people would still want to give him a second chance because they still think he can play. The Patriots did it. The Raiders did it. Doesn't matter. My overall point, though, is I'm sorry that I distracted from the conversation. I wasn't trying to go there. What I'm saying is, for me and Antonio Brown and the fit in Seattle has nothing to do with his transgression, okay? With his off-the-field transgression. It has to do with, from a football culture standpoint, okay? Whether it was with the Patriots or whether it was with the Steelers or whether it was with the Raiders in between, Antonio doesn't know how to act. We were off camera before the show started. You were, as we love to do, you were quoting Kings of Comedy. You were quoting Cedric the Entertainer. You know, he like Anthony Mason. You can't take him nowhere. You can't take Antonio Brown nowhere. And for me, if I'm Seattle, and specifically Russell Wilson, and this is why I say Russell Wilson got to be careful, because Antonio Brown, of course, is going to say and do all the right things right now. He's going to say and do all the right things specifically around Russell Wilson. He's going to look a lot different in the context of off-season workouts or whatever conversation you had. And Russell Wilson will tell you, he hadn't investigated all the things that happened, because players, just like teams, they don't care about what happened in Pittsburgh or Oakland or at the time or New England. All they care about is, oh my goodness, I could throw to Antonio Brown right now. They don't understand. He doesn't understand. I don't think, respectfully, there's that word again, respectfully, I don't think Russell Wilson understands what he'd be inviting into his locker room from a football standpoint. From a football standpoint. So the reason I brought up the suspension and the reason I brought up the off-the-field stuff is simply to say I don't pretend to be the arbiter of how long somebody should be suspended for a specific off-the-field transgression. Be it 6, 8, 12, a year, whatever. And I'm never one to say that somebody doesn't deserve a second chance at employment. But if I were Seattle if I were Russell Wilson or frankly any other team, I would look at what Antonio Brown has done from a football standpoint in terms of why the Steelers decided to get rid of him for a 4th-round pick, why the Raiders, why he blew it up with the Raiders, and why the Patriots was like, you know what, enough is enough. And it wasn't all, to your point earlier, it wasn't all about the allegations or the accusations or the investigations. It wasn't all about that. It was about you can't take him nowhere. Floor is yours. I just want to clarify where I was going with that.
No, I listened to you very closely, what you said. And I think we agree on 90% of things. So we may have gotten to our points in our conversation at different times, but if you just take what you said and take what I said, we match up, even if I didn't say it. I agree with 90% of what you said. Absolutely. I know the reason Ray Rice is not in the league and the reason Tyreek Hill is in the league is because one was deemed to be just done as a football player. His talent wasn't seen to be on the same level as Tyreek Hill's, for example. So it's all about
the position.
It's all about talent. The football team says, how can you help me?
Yeah.
Where I think the disagreement, and let me add one more thing before I get to what the disagreement is. So two games, you asked, should it be 2 games, 4 games, 6 games? What I think it should be based on whether it's 2 games or 8 games. I think you should display some type of remorse. You should display that you actually get it. And so some people will never get it. Some people will get it after a game. Like you can suspend them for a game and they get it immediately. You can suspend them for 10 games and they still don't get it. But this is where we disagree. I think football culture, you say football, not transgressions. I think football culture and transgressions are connected. So I don't separate them into different categories. The reason, based on what you're saying, the reason Antonio Brown will not be a good fit in Seattle is because Antonio Brown doesn't have the capacity to look at himself and say, I've got to change. So that is a factor when it comes to his transgressions, and that is a factor when he goes into a locker room. They're not separate.
Yeah.
I don't believe in compartmentalizing. As a whole person, he's got to figure it out. And if you're saying he hasn't figured it out, if he hasn't figured it out away from the field,
I don't know that. Look, Russell Wilson has talked to Antonio Brown a lot more than I have. I don't know Antonio Brown, and again. And I know what we both agree on is we both agree that people, the idea of deserving a second chance, as if we are standing in judgment of them, and we get to determine whether or not their sins have excluded them from the opportunity to continue to pursue a livelihood. Like that's what I'm getting at. It's like I'm not here to say whether he's a changed man and whether he's met a certain standard to merit playing. This is a meritocracy, and if you can play at a certain level, you're going to get that second chance. So it's a moot point anyway. So I don't know if he's matured. I'm saying I'm not finding out. If I'm running an organization, I'm not finding out. Yes, there are certain organizations that can handle those types of players better than others. One of them's the Pittsburgh Steelers. One of them's the New England Patriots. And so 2 of the premier organizations in the league couldn't contain this guy. And all I'm saying is he's not going there to mentor Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. Of course he's, straightening up and flying right and being humbled in the presence of Russell Wilson because he won a job. But if he gets there and the rubber meets the road and he's not getting the ball, how's he going to act? Same way he acted in Pittsburgh. Same way he acted he got the ball a lot in New England. But I I have a hard time believing that he's changed. I need to see it to believe it. I'll see it from afar if I'm a decision maker in an organization.
And I think Russell Wilson is standing up for him because basically what he's doing is vouching for his character. He's vouching for.
Honestly, I think Russell Wilson's being a good Christian.
Antonio Brown is right now.
I think Russell Wilson's being a good Christian. I think Russell Wilson in his statements, I think he's being a good Christian. I honestly believe that that's what he was doing yesterday. I think that was, and I don't mean to mock. Of course, I wouldn't mock Christianity. I am one, but
I didn't receive it that way at all.
No, but what I'm about to say, I think that was on brand for Russell Wilson. I think that was very much on brand. I think Russell Wilson, go Hawks. is a nice guy and is going to say the right thing about everybody all the time. So he's been around Antonio Brown. From what he knows of Antonio Brown, he's impressed with Antonio Brown. And when you ask him, he's never going to say anything other than the right thing. And so I think that was Russell Wilson being Russell Wilson yesterday, not thinking about the downside. He's strictly trying to see the good in somebody, which maybe we could all take a lesson from that. Maybe I could take a lesson from that. Trying to see the good in somebody and saying, yeah, he's a good football player, but also I think everybody's deserving of a second chance. And yeah, you know, I get it. And that's to be commended.
I think you could say nice things about Antonio Brown without also campaigning. This was a campaign for Russell Wilson. Russ cooks and Russ campaigns. This was campaigning. So the Christian side of him can say, man, you know, we're all redeemable and let's not give up on anybody. I wish him all the best. I've talked to him a few times. I wish him all the best. And then you stop. So, but he didn't stop. He kept going.
Because he's thinking about that. He's thinking about a Hall of Fame talent. That's what he's thinking about. He's thinking about a Hall of Fame talent.
And look, here's the great thing about Seattle. They have, now it's been a while since they won the Super Bowl, 2013? So, but they're successful. They're undefeated. If you bring in Antonio Brown and he's not on board, you can cut him and keep moving. And your season will be fine. And I think your leverage is you've been successful without him. Antonio Brown, the thing that keeps him in line is, all right, they were fine without me, and if I don't get it right this time, I was cut. I asked to be cut from the Raiders, so that didn't mean anything to me. I really wanted to stay with Tom Brady and the Patriots.
Yeah.
And they cut me because I couldn't control myself. All he had to do, really, and this is back to what I was saying, Mike, about the hypocrisy of the NFL and how brutal the league can be at times. In this October, Domestic Violence Awareness Month, you know, the league, they don't care. They don't care. If you've got an issue out there in the NFL, if the NFL has dealt with the issue, yet the issue is not resolved, all you got to do is shut up and be quiet, and then it will never come up again.
So Antonio
Brown, Antonio Brown got in trouble because he was texting. He was texting a woman, threatening, bringing her kids in. Bringing her kids. And the Patriots said, move on. But if that case is out there, that case is unresolved right now, right? Yeah. The one you brought up, it still has not been resolved.
Right.
He's being investigated. He still would be on the Patriots if he hadn't texted. So that's my point. Like, he's not necessarily, I don't know if he's changed or not, but he'd still be on the Patriots.
Right. It goes back to the video. The Ray Rice situation was cool until we saw the video. So you're absolutely right. It's like it's our level of outrage. The NFL has never been proactive. They're reactive to this. I will say this on behalf of Antonio Brown. If anything is going to humble him, see, because if you think about it, all right, Pittsburgh traded him. He got his money from the Raiders. I still don't know what happened there, but he got out and he got with the Patriots. Losing that gig and then being out of football this long, if anything will be a wake-up call, it'd be that. So it stands to reason that they got his attention. You know, that God or the football guys, whoever, got his attention now. At 32 years old, when you know that you are running out of chances, regardless of if a successful team or a successful football culture brings you aboard, like you're talking about in Seattle, regardless, wherever he ends up going, he got to know, I'm running out of teams. Not too many more opportunities I'm going to get. This may be my last one. So if anything will humble you, it's that fact, that reality.
And I will say, you know, before he ran into his problems, and I know there are a lot of great wide receivers in the NFL, and DeAndre Hopkins is on that list. I know Michael Thomas is having some injury issues this year. Julio Jones, keep going down the list. Antonio Brown's the best receiver in football when he's right. When he's here.
But let me tell you something about that. Let me tell you something about that title. What does that even mean? Because let's look at the Pittsburgh Steelers. I was one of the people, again, not knowing how much they were putting up with, although I always suspected he was the type of person that cared more about his numbers Because if you go back and look at a lot of Steelers games over the years, whole lot of empty yards at the ends of halves and at the ends of games going to Antonio Brown.
Though.
No, he's great. He's great. No. He's great. But I'm just saying, I knew he was a selfish ball player. But there was more to Pittsburgh than we even met the eye. So when they traded him to the Raiders for, I believe it was a 4th-round pick, I, like many people, were like, what the heck are you doing trading Antonio Brown for a 4th-round pick? Are you crazy? Pittsburgh, because you talked about this the other day. We talked about it. They scout a lot of positions great. You think they miss Antonio Brown? Do you think they miss Antonio Brown? We'll keep it moving with Juju and Chase Claypool. They didn't have a quarterback. They missed their quarterback last year. I guess what I'm saying is, whether like wide receivers, and we're talking about another one who's got a reputation later in the show, wide receivers, no matter how great they are, like, I think we've seen it. They don't make that much of a difference, or they're not that indispensable in a league that prioritizes the pass the way that it does. Because most people coming into this season wouldn't have thought that the Seahawks were loaded at wide receiver with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett and David Moore.
Right.
19 touchdown passes. Best offense in the league. Highest scoring offense in the league. So they don't need the most talented receiver in the NFL if he's going to come with even the slightest amount of a headache.
I agree with that. If he's got any baggage, then you just move on. If you give him a shot.
It was 3rd and 5th round picks. Thank you, Gary. It was 3rd and 5th round picks that they traded.
A third.
Yeah, 3rd.
They got a 3rd for him, man.
Yeah. So, bottom line is, not somebody that that you should have to bend over backwards to accommodate. But hey, listen, if he comes in and he's comfortable with the ball going to Tyler Lockett, if he's comfortable with the ball going to DK Metcalf, if he's comfortable with the ball going to Will Disley or Russell, okay, great. I'm just not so sure about that. I'm just not so sure about that part of it. That part, that he's just going to come in and be a good soldier. So.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.